Hi, Manica. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. How about you,
So
Dato?
this call or vlog, you can call it, is to basically you have to tell us about a lot on process automation, Six Sigma, and all. And why I'm asking you and why I came to you, because I have a relationship with you since last 15 years, and you worked in a many industries, so it is not only that you have worked in a bank or you worked in one organization. I know that you worked in a manufacturing area as well, and doing the engineering on a belt level, and then
Mm.
you worked with the scope, and then Malaysia Standard Chartered and Maybank, and so you have a wide range of experience in a various organizations. And even now, what you are doing is not only for the banking, you are doing for the various organizations which are almost everywhere. Now, I'm starting another series which is called digital transformation.
Right,
And
right.
very important that we have to touch upon that whether digital transformation can be done without a process reengineering or not. And
Right.
my experience says that it is very, very important. And the one of the reason that to call you here is setting the tone in a way that what is necessity. So first, I would like to have your introduction, to give us the brief introduction about you, just to
Mm.
tell the people that Manica is a Malaysian, and he is having an experience of around 24 years in this industry. And he is running not only the business in Malaysia, but across various market. So over to you, Manica.
Thank you very much, Dato Arif. It's my pleasure to be here and also to share my experience with you. Thank you again for the opportunity I was given to share my knowledge. Let me introduce briefly about myself. My name is Manica Wasagam. In short, you can call me Manica. I'm a principal consultant as well as come with a CEO because I'm a founder of a Lean Partner, right? To just give you a quick background where I started and where am I today. I'm a graduate as an engineer and I was in manufacturing for almost 8 years. That's where my exposure to Lean and Six Sigma actually started up. With that knowledge, I expand myself to service industry. I was in the banking industry also almost 7 years, doing a full time into operation transformation, or we can call it as a process reengineering, continuous improvement. There's a various name on it. Then I also have opportunity to work with Shell International, supporting Krakow in Poland, Glasgow in UK, Chennai in India, Malaysia, as well as Manila in Philippines, where I'm doing the full time into process transformation activities, training, coaching projects, and stuff like that. 2013, I stepped out from the corporate world and started up a Lean Partner. Been in the journey for the last 9 years. We are coming to this year's 2023 September. We'll be hitting our 10 years of anniversary of Lean Partner. Right. Over the period of this last 9 years, we have supported various industry, and we have supported almost close to 150 to 200 clients at this moment. And we train a lot of people in Lean Six Sigma and business transformation knowledge-wise. That's basically in terms of my background very quickly. My interest and passion is about teaching, sharing, and also especially on coaching and advisory is my real passion about it. That's one of the reasons why I step up for corporate world to do what I like to do more. And I'm getting a lot of feedbacks and testimonials related that people are really see very valuable in the way that I'm working out on my sharings, especially on advising on transformation activities.
Yeah,
Right. So
so
just in a short,
thank you very much for your introduction. I have a one of your book in my library,
yes.
which is almost 6, 7 years back. You have wrote it, and probably you have wrote more than one. So can you tell about briefly about your books you have written?
All right. The first book that I written is about more to like a self-learned book. But it was covering about my journey actually to share with the world how they can actually grow themselves. Because After I moved out from a manufacturing environment and when I was in the service industry, and what I saw myself in the first 8 to 10 years, there's a very significant transformation has happened in my growth. And when I sit back and look into it, I found out a certain patterns and formulas that I was unknowingly doing it, which create that kind of an impact. So I transfer the entire knowledge of that into my first book to share with a lot of people how they can actually work out their progress. You know, one of the things that I really learned is in my journey is actually our growth is a marathon, not a sprint, right? So that's my last chapter in the book, where we have to be gradually doing something consistently to progress ourselves, rather than, you know, you want to overnight become a CEO, for example. You know, it is not going to be practical. Yes, we do have a small percentage people achieve that kind of a goals, but majority of us actually have to go through the journey. So that's why my first book, more into sharing, not into a big sales perspective. I launched the book more into sharing. I'm giving to all of my participants, people that I'm coaching, and people are looking at career developments. The interesting part, I also get a lot of feedback that even children are reading that books, you know, because it's very simple language was used to get the books done. And my second book, which is supposed to be launched last year due to pandemic, is a bit delayed. Is expected by this year, will be coming out. That's more into business. We're actually putting in 7 principles that every organization to look into it to order to be transform their business and increase in their sales in the business as well. With God's grace, everything goes well. Maybe most probably this year we'll be seeing my second book will be launched.
Okay. So how you see starting as a career as an engineer, and then moving towards the creating a company, which is a lean partner as a CEO running this company since last 10 years. So how, and going into the purely different market, which is purely operational excellence. So tell us about this journey and why you have chosen this profession.
Okay. So why I into, I'm not sure whether I went into it externally or it is driven my passion, because my first job in engineering as a process engineer, I was very involved on looking at the process transformations as well as the quality of the production line. That's why my interest into quality have started up, and we went into a program called QCC, Quality Control Circle, in that particular organization. It was driven by National Productivity Council of the country. And I did some project in the organization as a team. Then we went and presented into a competitions and all those stuff. We won the prize, and that creates some hyper to know, hey, I need to know more about this program. And at that point in time, we only use PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act concept. So then with that knowledge, I slowly went into my yellow belt, green belt, black belt certification in that manufacturing environment. My interest towards that has become more stronger, and that's why I started up my first initial spark towards my journey to operation excellence. So thereafter, when I moved to service, you know, and so on, what I realized that what we need to know is the methodology. Once you know the methodology, you can plug it to any process. As long as you're following the methodology able to bring us to the solutions or bring us to the root cause easily. It's immaterial whether you are expert on that process or not. That's how we in a lean partner now able to support various industry, from pharmaceutical to hospitals to airport to retail and banking, insurance, list goes on. So we are doing across all industry today. We got all clients in all kind of industry, because we are only looking them as another process. We don't look into their another totally different product or totally different industry. So that's how the stronger the strength of this operation excellence.
So you are supporting to the wide range of the industry. In fact, can you tell us what is you are offering services to them, as it is a wide range? It is the same service for everyone, or it is very much you design the services for a particular organization? How you are offering your services?
Sure. So there's major 2 components that we're actually offering. One we call as the Operation Excellence Consultation package. Another one is the training and certification package, right? So this is a major 2 component. Talk about consultations. Of course, we have various offer under consultation. We have like a rapid improvement events that we run for the clients, or client engages to just build the operating model for their processes, or we do the entire transformation of their processes by putting our consultant on the ground and do the necessary works and so on. There's more like a consultation side of it. Training and certifications is again our strong pillar as well, where we do all the levels of Lean Six Sigma certification program, like a yellow belt, green belt, black belt, even master black belt. And we also cut a lot of short courses, like today very popular are like business analytical tools, for example, that kind of trainings. We also do a complex problem solving trainings and so on, right? So that's also play critical roles. Our advantage, and we are known in the market for customization. So we don't do, if I do green belt for banking, I do green belt for hospital. Even the contents are same, but all the examples and explanations and everything will be customized towards the industry. We don't use the same contents for everybody, right? For example, if I go and talk about manufacturing terms in banking, there's going to be disconnect because people might not understand. For very simple, in banking or in any service industry, we call operation, but it's the same term in manufacturing we call production. So that is it's the same thing, but it's a different name, right? Even we call 8 ways as a theme moods in a service industry mainly, but in the manufacturing we call downtime, right? Again, they use the same elements, but it's just you're arranged it in a different way. So we do a lot of customization. My advantage is I've been in both industry, in manufacturing as well as service. So give me a competitive edge in a way that I can actually talk both language to a certain extent. Definitely, there's a lot of customization going in.
Yeah, so give us a little bit on a few minutes for Six Sigma, but my question, other than the just introduction on a Six Sigma, but because a lot of people seeing this video where they don't have this idea about what is the Six Sigma. But what I want to understand and know from you, that in the age of AI and the age of various tools and digitizations is happening, do you think that Six Sigma is relevant still in this market and give the value to the customers?
All right. Excellent question. Thanks for asking that question, because this is particular things have been asked by almost all organizations that we are engaging in today's timing. Because most of the organizations are already moving into digitalization, automation. Agile is another popular names have been used in multiple organizations. Design thinking is another element being talked in a lot of organizations, right? So we done a very deep analytical of comparing all these tools and how Lean Six Sigma is still relevant in today's era, right? Let me give you a bit examples of comparison first, right? So if you take Agile, as all of us know, Agile are born in a software development environment, right? It is a program also designed in a way that, how do you actually speed up the whole projects, right? So Agile is actually helping out a big software development, let's say taking 12 months to complete the whole end-to-end of the requirements of the software. Now what they do is they break it down into phases, right? So we do phase 1, maybe the application need 20 features. Now I say I do 5 features and I launch the product first, right? But it's not complete, but it's still usable, but we launch with the 5 features and we get feedback from the users, and then we fix it up on the phase 2. And we launch the phase 2 and then phase 3 and so on. So this is how Agile program works, right? Under Agile, we call Scrum Master. Scrum Master is also very close to a project management or PMO role kind of things. A Scrum Master is in between developer and also the product owner, right? And then we will look into Kanban in Agile. Kanban is actually, I would say, very close to morning hurdles. So you're having all the action items and just monitoring and see which one done, which one not done, but it's putting into visual management, which we are used in the previous we called visual management, now we call Kanban board, right? So it's all those things are in an Agile program, and I will name it Agile, a very strong methodology towards project management, right? But Agile is not putting into how do I find root cause. Agile not putting into how do I deep go into the process and study value add, non-value add, business value add, simplifying process. those things Agile not covering in a very depth. Yes, they do have lean topic a bit, but they're not into very depth into it, right? But they are fantastic methodology for project management. In a word, of speed it up. That's why a lot of organizations today are using agility of organization, for example. How do I make decision fast? How to lean the whole structure of organization? All those things come under agile elements. The next one is very popular, is also known as a design thinking. Because some of the client that we talk about it, Manica, we don't want lean still or old school. We already into design thinking, right? So what's the difference here? Design thinking also go through 5 phases. Empathize is the first phase. Then you go into define. Then you're going to be prototype. Then idea, then prototype, and then test. 5 stages, right? So it is a very powerful tool when you want to design a new product, because once you understand, empathize is more like a persona of customer. You understand your customer needs and you define the problem, and then straight go into ideation. So where you already brainstorm for solution, then you're going to prototype the solution, and then you're going to test the solution, right? So if you're designing something for new market, new product, design thinking is a very fantastic tool to go for it. But if you use design thinking to continuous improvement, which your process already existing process, you need to figure out what is the root cause here, what's the problem today. That tool might have some lacking of information, some gap are there. So when you talk about Lean Six Sigma, there's a 2 component here. One is Lean, one is Six Sigma, right? Lean is basically came from a Toyota production system, right? Toyota, of course, before World War II, there was like studying from Henry Ford, who started the first conveyor belt kind of automotive industry. So that's the reason in a Lean you find a lot of Japanese word like a Gemba, Muda, Muri, Andun, Kanban, all these Japanese words, because it's purely come from Toyota production system environment, right? And one of the main output of Lean practitioner is basically to simplify the process, because it focuses on reduction of waste in the process. When you reduce the waste from the process, what happens? The process becomes shorter and simplified. The waste under the name of non-valued activity, which is not adding value to the customer, either to the organization. So Lean give you the methodology to go and identify those areas. How can we reduce it? How can we automate it? How can we simplify it? So when coming to Six Sigma is basically came from Motorola back in 1986, right? But what Motorola, the Bill Smith, the guy who actually put this together, is an engineer. He actually worked out the structure of the Lean Six Sigma methodology, Six Sigma methodology, which is known as a define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. It's a DMAC in short. Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And what he did is he took all the tools out there and he packed it out for each phases, what kind of tools will be doing it. So the fantastic job he done is he created a methodology and he packaged it out with all the tools was introduced by different gurus. For example, if you take a normal distribution or bell curve, it was introduced back in 1735. It was 17th century, which is 200 years ago. And it is part of the major tool in a Six Sigma, which was introduced back in 1986, right? So what he did is basically package it out like a Pareto chart, 80-20 rules. It was introduced back in 18th century by Wilfredo Pareto, but today is in our Six Sigma tool as well, one of the tools, right? Let me just give one more simple example. Fishbone diagram, everybody knows fishbone diagram. It was introduced by Karuo Ishikawa back in 1960, but Six Sigma was introduced back in 1986, right? So what he did is methodology, package everything together. So what Six Sigma is doing is Six Sigma try to address reduction of variation in the process. And I can tell you, I've been in both industry, manufacturing, and service. Service, we have the highest variation compared to manufacturing, right? Because every customer that we receive is varied, right? Worse still, when we have a corporate clients, which is customizing the way they want it, it is actually making more complex in our process. If you personally ask me, Six Sigma is more applicable in service industry compared to manufacturing. Even is born in manufacturing. So Lean addressing reduction of waste, Six Sigma addressing reduction of variation. When you reduce the variation, your process gets very consistent, standardization will take place as well, right? So if I compare all these 3 elements, Lean Six Sigma, design thinking, and Agile, they actually complement each other, but you don't replace each other. For example, in solution brainstorming, I can use design thinking methodology. When I want to implement a solution in Lean Six Sigma project, I can use Agile approach. right? So it complement each other, but you won't replace each other, right? As long as there is a process, we need Lean Six Sigma, because Lean Six Sigma focusing solid into process, right? Let me just cover the second portion of it on talking about digitalization and automations. So all of us know that, digitalization, automation, machine learning, artificial intelligence, even you're building the actual robot in place, we need a process. Without process, we cannot move into it. If you ask somebody to come and do RPA, robotic process automation, first thing they're going to ask is business requirement. And the business requirement need to be understood through a process flow. And if you don't simplify the process, you don't optimize the process, and you're going straight to automation, the dangerous of it is you're taking a broken process into system now. The system also will do the broken activities. The dangerous of system is basically the moment something went wrong, he will be hit in a big volume. I've seen multiple cases in Malaysia, for example, in some of the big corporates, where they had a mistakes and hit 3,000-4,000 customers, like a double pay, overpay, and they have to go rectify one by one because robot just bang like that, right? So that's why the process optimization, looking at all the control in the process, are super important before we move into automations or digitalization as well, right? So that's why it's still relevant in today's situation, because Lean is focusing on efficiency, Six Sigma is focusing on effectiveness, right? So any process we want to make sure it is efficient and effective as well. So I have seen multiple organizations who went very fast in Agile and as well as RPA. Some company who I was working before as a client, and they said, no, Manica, we are not looking at Lean Six Sigma anymore because all our teams are moving into RPA now. The entire organization focusing on RPA. After 2 years, they are taking a turn and coming back to looking into the process again. Because that's why they found out that, I'm not optimized the process. We cannot automate everything. And one of the COO have actually talked to me, Manica, in the last 2 years, we've built 150 robots, and 80 of the robots today is sleeping. In other words, it's not working. Because we have to put the governance together, because every time there's a change take place, the program of automation need to be updated. And today we are in the environment where policies change, regulatory change, all these are very constant. So it's become very important that we actually have a governance to the automation digitalization. We're consistently updating every time the change happens. This is only being able to done once they understand the process in deep, and the process expert need to advise the technology team to order to update all those things. With that, Lean Six Sigma is still a very important element there. Every time when people ask me, where can I apply Lean Six Sigma? My answer will be, wherever there's a process, you can apply. Because every process contains level of wastage and variation. And the next question to ask ourselves is where we don't have process, right? I think if you minus your sleeping hours, the entire 16 hours you're awake, you are in the process. Even at home, in the road, everywhere we are in the process. So everywhere we can apply Lean Six Sigma.
Yeah, you're absolutely right in a sense that whenever the organizations are looking for operational excellence or creating a continuous improvement in our operation, the first things come is how they can reduce the waste. And when they are coming to reduce the waste, normally this is called rapid process improvement.
Right.
And there are tools also available through that you can be able to do this and identify and make this process in a very small pieces, and then you can be able to see which are the waste and you can take it out. Now question, when you are going to the organizations, are they more interested into the reduction of cost, improvement of process, or customer experience, or all of three? So what is the expectation from the customer point of view?
Okay. Of course, I'm going to say all of it. People have seen a different demand for as their organization status and stuff like that. But customer experience are always been there as an extreme important for service-based environment that we're working on. For example, in a hospital or banking or insurance, any service elements, they always focus a lot on the customer experience, because today we are being increased in competitions, right? So if you take banking in Malaysia, for example, a commercial bank itself like a 27. If I combine Islamic bank, everything, we are coming close to 50 plus banks in Malaysia. So you are actually opening up opportunities for consumer to choose where I want to park my money, which bank I want to work with it, right? So if they got a bad experience in an A bank, they automatically close and they move to B bank because they got a lot of options today, right? Due to that, even you take hospitals or you take any medical centers and so on, you're still creating that competitions are heavy as well. So due to that, they are actually giving a lot of attention to a customer experience, right? But what is customer experience? If you really put into a managerial level of strategic here metrics, we are focusing to improve customer experience from a perspective of efficiency and effectiveness. In other words, turnaround time, error rate reduction, services, and all those stuff actually we are putting in. Which once you can tighten up all these areas, eventually the consequences of this activity that you are doing will move us to cost optimization. Because every rework is actually a lot of cost, because sometimes people don't see the hidden cost, they only see the surface cost, right? There's a lot of hidden cost for long-term impact when you have continuous error happen in your process. For example, if you're continuously, your turnaround time and efficiency are not meeting up, you'll be losing your customers. So customer experience definitely has become a bigger elements of focus in multiple organizations. And second elements, of course, the cost optimization is coming stronger as well. It's immaterial whether the industry is making money or not making money. The mantra of the company is still, how can I optimize the costs, right? Because some of the industry, I know they're really doing very well at this particular junction, even the pandemic time. But they also talking to me, Manica, how can we improve on cost optimization and savings as well, right? Because they have to be prepared for raining day, as well as the competition is coming heavily as well.
Okay, so tell me about, you did the project in various countries actually, and did the project also in a banking, hospital, and manufacturing and other areas as well. Mm-hmm. Where you can see when you're talking to your customers, Malaysia versus the other countries. What are the challenges you feel that when you're going to the other countries and doing the project? And when you are doing in the country, because in country, the language, the people, how they behave. But when you go to the other countries, it is slightly different. Right. You are speaking to the people, you don't know the geography. So how you describe the challenges and comparing with Malaysia?
Okay. First of all, I'm going to say there's not major difference within the country, but I think organization, even within Malaysia, we see a lot of difference as well. Right? It depends on how open they are to explore on the transformation, number one. Number two, the availability of data, right? One of the biggest challenge we face is on the data, right? And because we make decisions based on data, especially when you come into Lean Six Sigma, it's become very crucial for us to do that activities. So a lot of areas people talk about it, we want to improve, but they don't have a fundamental of right metrics in place. So to do a comparison within country, to answer your questions, we do see a lot of some countries, for example, if I done some programs in Australia, for example, when we deal with the people have actually been well taught on data, on some basic fundamental elements of data analytical and also process. They're very well versed. And what happened is basically become very smooth and easier for us to drive them through on the whole program. When I was doing some program in another country, but that's not represent entire Australia, by the way, because that's why I declare as organization to organization, because within the organization in Australia might have some other issues, other challenges as well. Another examples, I was doing some program in one of the very big bank in Indonesia, for example, right? So we have a lot of challenge on data. Some of the areas we don't have a proper data, so we cannot make a conclusion easily. So we have to do a lot of time spent on collecting some fresh data for at least a couple of weeks to order to have some numbers for us to make a decision where to move on. And the people mindset is also area that I have to work a lot to order to improve on acceptance levels, the adoption of the new way of doing things and accepting the fact that we have to do changes today, right? Because if not means we'll be outdated from the market. So that's how I see difference. Even this is applied within the country as well, organization to organization. Some organizations are very open. They really want to drive through the change. Some organization we see, there's a lot of roadblocks and pushbacks might happen. No, this is how we do things and all that. But continuously educating people not to only to adopt a Lean Six Sigma perspective, but bring the message why we need to do changes today, right? There is a couple of points I just want to share in this interview as well. Number one, customer behavior have changed, right? We are looking at different generations. We can see our kids, our nephews, how they are behaving today. There's a lot of demands have changed, right? Especially the pandemic have actually accelerated some of this change significantly. So even today we can see, your restaurants maybe are just a neighborhood, but you are still decided to buy online, for example, the food, for example. So people don't want to go to branch and queue up. People want everything to be e-copies, right? So can I do digital signature? Can you just send the form through WhatsApp, for example? So people behavior are changing. So if a people behavior or customer behavior is changing, and organization not changing their process, long run we are in the losing end, because the competition can be just take over, right? And so talking about competition, I always put it this line. They're saying that our competitor is unknown. Why I'm making the statement is, while I'm even now at this moment I'm talking here, there can be a group of people sitting out there thinking a solution that the product that I'm providing today to replace it. There's a startup company might be thinking about how can I do this Lean Six Sigma training in totally a different way, very technology driven, very informative, very effective way, and they can just hit the market and disrupt the market and just take over my entire business, right? So that's the reasons I always say our competitor is unknown. And we need to prepare for this. The challenge is we know the enemy, we can prepare for the war. But this is unknown, it's very difficult to prepare. So it's always we need to make sure our process is optimal, right? To order to be ready for this kind of unknown competitions, right? Because we have seen in the market a lot of companies, especially for example, when Grab was launched, Cal Taxi, we have a lot of challenge for the taxi. But Grab is not typical taxi company, but they just keep disrupt the market just overnight. And the entire customer base is actually shifted towards the application because it's so convenient and so informative for the consumer, right? So that's the first reasons why the change must be take place. Second reason is basically is because of technology changing happening. We can see almost every day we're hearing some new software, new technology, especially AI are doing extreme works in a digital platform, right? We have seen a lot of elements that AI can actually make work so simple and so fast. But if you don't adapting this technology and we keep pushing out this technology in our organization, long run we'll be losing because our consumers are expecting that as well, right? The third reason is geopolitical, I will say, economy of the world. And we can see things happening around the world, the fight, the war and everything is impacting the entire world, either indirectly been impacting our organization as well. So we have to be preparing for that elements as well. All right. The fourth elements I want to put it in here is basically on the reason and the demand for innovation. So we have to challenge our status quo. We have to challenge our status quo and be innovative in our product and service, because that's what the client is expecting today. Because if you want to stay relevant, this is the four main reasons why I will say that we have to change towards accepting what is happening in the market. And Lean Six Sigma play a very crucial role in all these four elements. We work very closely to achieve the objective of these four elements.
Yeah, thank you. One of the question came in my mind because when I'm coming on towards the end is the challenges. And in the challenges area, almost every industry is having some regulation, whether it is a hospital or the banking or the manufacturing. Somehow or another, they define the box somewhere. And when you are going and changing your process and making it lean and trying to eliminate all the various areas of the process, you have to comply and be in the compliant. And this probably one of the challenge. The second challenge, what I want to understand from you more is that within the organization, is the willingness is there or not? Because at the end, you can make a drink for them, but they have to take a drink and they have to take and drink it. So question, if the willingness is not there, probably this can be the challenge. And the third challenge is all about sometime is need of like really you feel and I can feel and the customer can say also there is a need the company has to change. And they are going for a digital transformation or they are going some other transformation, but they don't think that they have to change their process. As you have given the example that when you are doing a rapid process automation, it's very important that process has to be changed first. So my question is the organizational challenge is there that they see the need, although the business market, everybody is moving on other side, but all the management don't see the need. So what are the challenges? I just put 2 or 3, but I want to know from you that what are the challenges currently on this area?
Okay. Again, another excellent question, because this is a very common challenges that even we as the consultant faced to implement certain things in the organization, right? So let me just address one by one that you have highlighted. The first one is the compliance and policies. What, in my experience, overlooking at hundreds of processes that I review in the past, a lot of these policies is either it is outdated, or some of the policy is not up to date in a way, right? It's not updated. Second is most of the policies are actually made by a team within the organization. Some of it, of course, come from the regulatory that we have to compliance and all those stuff, right? Because these people are not bad people in the organization, but these people are being hired to govern the organization and make the organization always in safe mode. So in that process, what happens is there is a negotiation between the optimizing process and the risk and compliance here to come into a same page to where we can actually give and take in a way to optimize the process and give the excellent experience to the customer while we are also being protected, right? So my tagline always to the people that I work with it is do not breach the policy, please challenge the policy. The reason is because if you get a mitigation of the risk, then you can actually have table it up to the necessary people, either policymakers, legal and all that, to discuss and see whether we can actually use that mitigation and reduce some of the activity that we are doing for risk and compliance perspective. And we have achieved a lot on these areas from the day I was as an employee and also as a consultant. We have worked this a lot with the risk. It's not an easy job. It's not red carpet. Sometimes it takes a couple of days for debates, but eventually we can see some good achievement we can come together, right? So most of this policy we can review back, because when the digitalization and the automation taking place, a lot of this policy have dropped off because this mitigation of the risk is being taken place, right? And to give you one simple example, some policies, like for example, in a mortgage application form, you have a terms and condition for disbursement of the loan and all those stuff, right? But the customer is not even on board yet. And we are putting a policies in an application form and make the form to be very thick, like 10 pages or 20 pages. And with all these terms and conditions taking like 6-7 pages, it is not adding value to the customer. The moment they saw the number of pages, they'll be like, no, okay, thank you very much, I'll go to another bank. So we already killed the customer on even before they're on board. So we talk this, and again, because that is a secure loan, and you can always you have the legal documents where you have an agreement with the bank and the customer. You have all the terms and conditions inside the document already. Why we are putting that into the application form now? So this is just a typical example I'm giving where we discuss with the policy and see what can we do about it, right? So this is on the policy side of it. Second challenge that we see is adoption of people, whether people want to change or not, and whether they want to accept the changes or not, right? It's always a big challenge because, people are already comfort with what they're doing it. And today, suddenly, when I go in and say, do differently, there's always going to be a pushback. So one of the methods that we always try to adopt is actually what is for them is very important. Because most of the time, what I found out is they're reluctant to change, not because they don't want to change. They have a lot of worry that they'll be losing their job. Or they've got a lot of worry that, they might be not have the portfolio anymore, for example. But the question I always ask them back is, if you are in the comfort zone today, do you think that zone is safe? Right? Because today environment change is happening very significantly. Right? That's the reason I always say your experience get expired. Your knowledge never get expired. Experience get expired. For example, I cannot go to the bank and tell 20 years ago I was in the bank, I know what I'm talking about. The bank will say there's the exit door, please go out. Because your policy have changed, regulatory have changed, process have changed, product have changed. So many changes taken place last 10, 15 years. Just because I work in the bank, I cannot keep telling I got an experience in the bank, I know what I'm talking about, right? Unless I upgrade myself, what's happening today in the bank, for example, right? So the experience of people get expired today because the change is so significant. Compared to those days, one system will be there for 30, 40 years, nobody changed the system. But today, there's a lot of patch going in, you keep changing on the system itself, right? So even you don't want to change, you are in the dangerous zone the moment the process will be replaced. You are lost the job as well, correct? So it's the best choice for you to change and adapt the current environment to stay relevant in the market. So that's why I always have the discussion with the people who are tough to change. I will ask the question back to them, are you safe in what you're doing today? Because you are not in the control of the process change that is going to take place, right? Another approach that we take is, I always offer, when we do if you have a mega program in any organization, we offer a program for the leaders. We will start from the top so that the leaders don't ask a negative question to the people who are trying to drive the program, right? So we create the awareness to the leaders, and we'll do like a half-a-day program, or even some have stretched it to 1 day. Even I got a multiple program, the C-level people plus the CEO have joined, group CEO have joined to the program to create the awareness. The whole deck will be totally different towards convincing them or selling the whole idea why this is important for the organization. Once they are on board, it becomes much easier to do the change throughout the organization. So that program we will definitely do for multiple organizations. We've done it. Sometimes we just offer as a value-add service, because our objective from Lead Partner is to ensure we achieve the objective of the deal that we are actually closing, the purpose we have been hired. So in order to do that, we need to get the buy-in, right? So in order to get the buy-in, we will always offer from the top-down approach to achieve this objective.
So Manica, thank you very much for your time. And very well you explained some of the areas which perhaps the people don't understand. The overall Six Sigma and other technologies are there, and how you going as a person, not only in a one segment or the area, but also multiple, like bank, hospital and manufacturing and other area, and you worked over there. So it's not, is a person who basically coming with the experience where he already worked in that environment. So thank you very much for your time. Definitely the people will see this video, will love and enjoy your knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Looking forward to catch up again in another session. Thank you.